Well, we've got a fair amount of briefings this weekend to put on MTTV, and first of all, Mr. Shimmin, DED, we've got some press releases from you, but obviously you haven't been talked to yet about the Sefton situation. I mean, this does come under your department. Can you give me any new or different discussion about this? Because I'm trying to pick words here, because we've heard it all, but it doesn't still add up to a lot of people what went on. Let's hear it from you.
I'm happy to try and put something on record, and I could talk a long time. We've got lots to talk about. So it's a very complex area. I'll try and be sort of short about some of the comments that I make. We have a Chief Minister who for some time has been talking about how important it is that we take some risks, that we make some decisions which might be unpopular, but actually we've got to do things differently if we're going to survive. Economically, the island is doing well, but we know that some of our established businesses on the island are struggling, and they have been for some time, particularly in the tourist area and the construction industry. So what would have been an easy choice for government when confronted with the situation that the Sefton had an opportunity for a rescue package which would consolidate their future medium-long term, easiest thing in the world would be for us to do nothing. And if we had done, and we could wring our hands and say how sad it is that the supply chain owed money would have been possibly going out of business. Certainly jobs would have been lost.
Okay. Again, you called it a rescue package in there. Sir Miles Walker and other people working for the Sefton Group said they were not going to go bust. Now, people have this problem, therefore. Well, why did you jump when you did? Were they, in your view, about to go bust or needing bailing out?
I think you and other people are using language such as that, which is evocative. The reality is that anybody who looks at the audited accounts of the Sefton Group would see that there was a debt liability and there's cash flow issues. We know that the fundamental business is sound in the hotel area, but due to the management in the past, they hadn't got themselves involved in property acquisitions, which took a significant hit when the economic recession came in, and they were extended at a level which is now being brought down by the current management. I'm not surprised that the Chief Executive and the Chairman of the Sefton are putting a brave face on this, but unless something was done, unless there'd been a combination of parties coming to work with the Sefton, they would have had ongoing liabilities and problems into the future. This was a one-off opportunity that the government, working with other parties and the Sefton, could actually do something which protects the taxpayers' money to a great extent, certainly protects the jobs, protects the taxpayers' money from that which would have had to be expended if the group did go down, plus the economic message that would give. So all of this, and I know you want me to say something quickly on this, the reality is we have protected the taxpayers' money on the acquisition of the land in a prime real estate part of Douglas. That is below the market rate for that property. We've got an opportunity now where we will get a 5% plus return on that investment, and hopefully the Sefton Group will then develop it further into the leisure and hotel facilities in the future.
And we've got some pictures actually of what they were planning back in, I think, 2009 for that site. I mean, we got hold of this sort of CAD imagery, which is a very swanky looking building. And that is likely to happen at some time?
It certainly would not have been able to happen if the government had not come into this package. And it's not just government, but we have protected the asset by getting the land acquisition. Yes, we've loaned 1.3 million, again at a 5% interest rate. And we believe from all the evidence we've looked at their figures that this will, as a package, give them the opportunity of turning around the level of indebtedness and actually make them viable again. So the Sefton aren't going to turn around and say they'd collapse tomorrow. We knew that wouldn't be the case, but we do know that they would not have been able to trade easily out of the debt level. And what we have done is protected jobs, protected the taxpayers' money, and we've made a calculated risk, which is always going to be easy for criticism. But if we had not done something, I guarantee that the problems would have been far worse for the taxpayer.
You just said there, you knew they weren't actually going to go out of business tomorrow, but it was originally sort of put to us that this had to be done now, or were they were...
There's two different things. Right. You're talking about saying it would go out of business tomorrow. No, it wouldn't have done. but it would not have been able to trade easily out unless there was an injection of cash coming into it. You could not have got the level of money that's gone into the Sefton to have come from the shareholders, and therefore, unless somebody was prepared to put money in, and that's not just government, but the other parties involved, including shareholders, all of that coming together and working with the bank mean that everybody had to step forward at the same time to get a common end. And that's what happened. And if one of those parties, including government, had stepped away, then this deal would not have gone forward.
What about the £400,000 or so that went through before this amount of money? I mean,
yeah, the £450,000 people talk about, again, it's a cash flow issue that we work with businesses, and whether it be on the taxation or whatever, that there are times there's a cash flow. And if you don't come to an agreement with a party, then you may not get any of that money returned. So this, again, is something which is being repaid as per the agreement. And this is surely a good way of working with businesses, as we've done in the past, to make sure that they have a future. And we're talking about people's jobs. We're talking about opportunities to keep an established business going. So, I don't see why the public hostility to the government, which does these things all the time.
You don't see any hostility from the public? Is that what you're saying? I mean,
no, what I'm saying,
there is hostility.
There is, and whatever we had decided on a difficult situation, and in government it isn't easy, and in business it isn't easy. So there's a very complex set of factors. You have options, and to do nothing is the first option. In any business model or a government model, first option, do nothing. And what are the consequences? So we've looked at that. We've then looked at what about if we do risk taxpayers' money by investing in land and a loan for a business with large numbers of employees and a significant economic interest on the Isle of Man. So we knew that it was going to be contentious. What I do think is unfortunate is that the same people who are criticising this activity that we've done would equally be criticising us if we'd stepped back and allowed the business to founder. So that is what our concern is, that the ability for government to assist businesses to safeguard and protect and grow jobs is something which is in the Enterprise Act, which is in the core of what the Chief Minister has said. And if we are going to be economically successful, we have to make some of these decisions. And our economy, compared to everywhere else, all of our neighbours, is doing remarkably well. That doesn't happen by accident. It happens by a combination of government and the private sector working together. This is one example of that. And yes, I can understand people's criticism, but I would ask for a level of trust that the Chief Minister, Treasury Minister and myself have all felt that this was worthy of support, backed up by the Council of Ministers. And the reason it doesn't go public is you don't do these sort of things in the public domain, because other people then start walking away from the deal and it would have all collapsed.
Much more to talk about on this one. We'll have that in our next section.